Let me first also thank CSTEP for giving me this opportunity to speak today, but a topic which cannot be more relevant than at this present moment of time. I would start by the fact that this unprecedented pandemic, I would say, has unleashed almost a new dimension to the human development crisis today. On some aspects of human development index, I would say conditions are equivalent of levels of deprivation. With the gains that we had made over the last 20 years, have all gone astray. At this point of time, an astounding 110 million people have been pushed into poverty. Almost 1.6 billion children are out of school education. And the world economy has, it has triggered a loss of almost $10 trillion in the overall world economy, leading into a big recession and a job crisis globally. I would say that the pandemic was superimposed on the already existing unresolved tensions between people and technology, between people and the planet, between the haves and the have-nots. These tensions, therefore, have shaped a new dimension of inequality today, pertaining to existing capabilities and the new necessities of this century. At the same time, the response of the crisis also carries the potential to shape new strategies on how these tensions can be addressed and how inequalities in human development index can be reduced. And here, I feel that the deployment of the soft prowess of science, technology, and innovation can usher a new global good, and that can provide the needs of the marginalized section of the society and citizenry. So this is something very, very important and pertinent that has come up in this COVID period and would also assume an importance in the post-COVID period. To address the present situation, therefore, a country's science, technology, and innovation policy system should enable to maintain a balance between economic, social, and environmental stability and sustainability, which is very, very critical. Building on research and experience, a new approach has to emerge, putting people in clear focus. I repeat, putting people and society in the center and as a clear focus, and emphasizing the need to work closely with rural communities and the marginalized sections of the society to support them in building on their existing strengths to improve their lives in a sustainable manner. All of you would agree that today's pressing developmental challenges are not confounded by geopolitical boundaries. Every nation has these challenges which needs to be addressed, and science, technology, and innovation therefore offers a unique opportunity to address these multifaceted challenges which are truly cross-border in nature today. Science and technology is increasingly recognized as a driver for pillar of growth, covering all sectors, starting from agriculture, nutrition, communication, cybersecurity, education, energy, health, disaster management, transport, manufacturing, you name it. Everywhere the need for science and technology is being felt every other day now. And particularly for a diverse country like India, I would say that science and technology is expected to touch the lives of people and seem to be a tool that enables the ease of living for the common man. And that is what the scientists and technologists and innovators have to address in the present context. Evidently, therefore, I would say that the span of science and technology policy interventions, both in breadth and depth, has become increasingly complex to be able to address the respective national needs and aspirations by being inclusive in the national context, and at the same time also meet the international obligations as a responsible state actor. So here a balancing act is very, very critical. The polity, therefore, today expects the adoption of science and technology policy paradigms across the value chain by involving the entire ecosystem players, including the academia, the R&D labs, the private sector enterprises, the startups, and importantly, the society, in order to unlock the potential by creating a virtuous cycle of supply and demand to feed the economy and create new jobs. Therefore, the aspirations and expectations from the scientific and technological community is now even more demanding and challenging. Scientists and technologists, therefore, cannot just remain confined within the four walls of the boundary, but they need to more proactively connect with the society, to the people, to the economy at large. And this is the changing paradigm of science and technology. How really we connect the solution science with the discovery science. You know, science with a human face is what is required at the present moment of time. And very rightly so, you know, when the UN came up in 2015, the SDG goals, as late as last year, they realized the importance of science and technology and innovation to provide enabling tools to achieve the SDG goals by 2030. And therefore, the UN Interagency Task Team created what is they call a global pilot program on science, technology, and innovation for developing the SDG roadmaps. And last year, India was actually selected as a pilot country to devise an STI roadmap that would enable achieving the SDG goals by 2030. Along with India, there are other countries, Indonesia, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, and Serbia, which are working on preparing this roadmap. So the global pilot program on STI for SDG is something which is inspired, therefore, by harnessing science, technology, and innovation for inclusive development, keeping in mind the needs, dreams, and aspirations of the people, particularly women, youth, and the marginalized population. Developing effective STI-enabled strategies for SDG roadmap is therefore a critical exercise that requires commitment from government and all stakeholders, including the proactive participation of the scientific and the academic community, both from the developed and developing countries. To achieve this, the premier educational and technological institutions of our country have to reorient their research ecosystem towards developing real-world solutions for the myriad challenges which are looming large in the post-pandemic period. The research outcome and new knowledge generated from our laboratories and academic institutions is expected to provide both the know-how and the show-how. And that's what I said, linking the discovery science with the solution science in an innovative way for securing food and nutrition, healthcare, education, clean environment, green energy, water security, underlined, I say once again, underlined by the driving principles of equity, inclusiveness, and affordability. So this is very, very critical. Therefore, I would say it provides a very unique opportunity to India to build on indigenous capabilities and skills for harnessing affordable, accessible, and available technologies, what I call the 3 ACEs, for achieving sustainable development goals. And this is a very unique opportunity for India, therefore, to have a new innovation paradigm put in place where people at the core is very important. At the same time, the affordability of technologies to solve their problem is another challenge. And this actually compounds the challenge to the scientific community even more. I would therefore say that of late, India's effort towards integrating science, technology, and innovation for achieving sustainable development goals have been imbibed in many of our ongoing national missions and programs. And in fact, I would like to give some examples. You know, unlike in the past, I think many of the missions are now based on knowledge convergence using technology platforms. The efforts now is to bring upfront the need of integrating scientific and technological enablers towards effective delivery of these missions to the people. And 2 important things that we are currently deliberating on is the new science, technology, innovation policy for India, which actually talks of a truly comprehensive, free, future-ready open science platform framework, which promises to provide access of scientific data, information, and knowledge resources to the entire ecosystem across the country. It also talks of expanding and diversifying the science, technology, innovation financing framework. It also talks of mainstreaming the grassroots innovation that I talked about, a special focus on S&T-led entrepreneurship. And most importantly, as the Prime Minister has announced, Atmanirbhar Bharat, one of the pillars of the Atmanirbhar Bharat is technology. So technology development and indigenization for Atmanirbhar Bharat is another important element of the new science technology policy. And of course, two important things that also needs to be emphasized is the enhanced trust on science communication, which is very, very important, and the COVID has shown that. And this is very important that science be communicated in the right manner across to the society. And this is very critical as well. Just before I end, I thought I'll just quote a few examples of how India has actually reoriented its science, technology, innovation policy into a more delivery-oriented approach. Recently, the Empowered Technology Group has been created by the government, which actually has now enabled technology officers to be identified across 70 departments of the government of India. And the idea is to really infuse the scientific temper and technological tools in the performance, the internal performance of the ministries and departments, but also for delivering their own programs using the latest technological tools. And this is a new shift, a new way of thinking where science technology does not only remain confined to the so-called scientific departments and agencies that we are familiar with, but science and technology will now go across the stream in a very horizontal manner, where departments like rural development, departments like textile, department like highways, department like fertilizers, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, name it, would be now connected with the R&D ecosystem. That is, our role would be to define a research and innovation roadmap for each of the ministries and connect them across with the ecosystem. And the ecosystem consists of 5 important players, the Panchatantra, I call them: the academia, the R&D lab, the enterprises, the startup, the NGOs, the society, and of course, also the diaspora. So this is something that has started off, and now we are working with various ministries to enable that to develop. But before I end, I'll just quote some 4 or 5 very important examples how the Digital India mission, as you know, by converging the JAM, the Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and Mobile, we have enabled 357 million people who were marginalized and brought them into the mainstream for empowering them economically through the digital tool. Some 350,000 common service centers have been established by the Ministry of IT, which is a network of digital kiosks, providing digital services to the citizens at affordable rates, at affordable prices. Over 14 million farmers are today linked through the CSC, to the Electronic National Agriculture Marketing, or ENAM platform. We are in the process of developing an agri-stat platform, to meet the farmer-centric needs in rural and peri-urban areas, where we are actually bringing together the enormous amount of data set that India has collected on a common platform that can then be used as an advisory to the farmer, so that he or she can use this to increase their farm output. Now this, we believe, would be a very powerful tool for sustainable agriculture practices in the remotest corner of the country. In the Jal Shakti Abhiyan, now there is a very strong technology component where we are providing a slew of technology interventions that would provide into a sustainable, water in various specific water challenge domains and areas in locations, both in terms of water quality and water quantity. In the post-pandemic period, now the National Digital Health Blueprint, which will now be enabled through the National Digital Health Portal. The vision is to integrate promotive, preventive, and curative healthcare technologies through this portal, and this will become a very important tool for delivery of healthcare across the country. I would also recall that the National Monsoon Mission, where investment, of almost 1,000 crore has led to a return of almost 5,000 crores. 50,000 crores by touching the lives of almost 11 million below poverty line agricultural households, of which 0.53 million BPL fisher folk has been touched, and about 26% of the benefits have gone to the women folk. So the National Monsoon Mission integrated with the high performance computing mission, has really helped in providing the weather data that has enabled a large number of farmers. And lastly, and not trivial, the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy has defined India's own brand of AI roadmap with a tagline of AI for all. I repeat, AI for all. It implies technology leadership in AI to ensure socio-economic development and inclusive growth of the country by focusing on core SDG sectors like healthcare, agriculture, education, public mobility, clean energy. Therefore, India's approach to implementation of AI and other cyber-physical systems is unique, guided by optimization of social goods rather than maximization of top-line growth, thereby ensuring job creation and not job deprivation. At this point of time, I would conclude, when inequality is the defining challenge for the mankind, we all need to think outside the box solutions to ensure that through partnerships, both at subnational, national, and international levels, we can assure equitable access to the fruits of science, technology, and innovation. And this is very critical. There is a dimension to the right to science, which can inspire the STI roadmap for SDG road programs. Thus, science with a human face, when realized in tangible outcomes by the needy and the poor, will be a proof for the key role of science and technology and development, particularly in attending the SDG goals by 2030. Thank you very much.